clock says 11:03, and that's what I promised you. So welcome to SCORE Bucks County's webinar on what's your mission, strategy tools for small business. This seminar is being presented by one of our own, Kathleen Donahue. I'll introduce Kathleen momentarily, but if you give me a few minutes, I'd like to talk a little bit about who is putting this seminar on. For those of you who don't know who we are SCORE Bucks County. My name's Linda Zangrilli, and I'm the current chapter chair for the SCORE Bucks County chapter. SCORE is a national nonprofit organization. We have some 350 chapters all over the United States and some 13,000 members. In Bucks County, we actually cover all of Bucks County as well as Eastern Montgomery County. And we have over 50 people in our chapter who are experts in just about every business discipline you could ask for. So we assemble this group of experts. They are former business owners, former corporate people, retired people, some still working, but they come from all walks of life and have every business expertise that you could ask for. So we have one mission. All of SCORE has one mission, and that is to help small businesses such as you are to start and to grow. Basically, we foster small business. So that's our only mission. The way we do it is through free mentoring services. If you're interested in some sort of you need help with your business, you have an idea, you don't know what to do, you don't know if it has any traction, we can help you with that. If your business is already started and you need some help, we can help you with that. So anything related to small business, we can help with. All you have to do is go to our website, which is buckscounty.score.org, and hit the button that says request a mentor. It's as easy as that, and the rest is SCORE. I see somebody says SCORE mentoring has helped me a lot. Thank you, Jonathan. We do that, and all of our people are volunteers, so no one's getting paid, no one's profiting by this. Basically, we do it because we want to give back to small business, and that's our sole mission. So another thing I want to mention is who we are in terms of, what organization we fall under. We're a resource partner of the Small Business Administration. So that's another important fact, and we have ties to them and can tap into their resources as well. So I talked about mentoring. The other thing I want to talk about is we do things like this, free seminars. Thanks to COVID, we're all Zoom and all free. So that's a great benefit for you. You can sit there in your pajamas and listen to our experts talk about the various topics. We basically do 1 or 2 of these a week. So keep our link in your mind and check us often, because we do have a lot of good information being disseminated through these seminars. Okay, so, and also if any of you out there would like to help us with our mission and maybe become a member of SCORE Bucks County, go to the same website, buckscounty.score.org, and then say, I'd like to get information about becoming a member. And believe me, we'll be all over that as well. So just a few housekeeping things before we start and before I introduce our presenter for today. The session is being recorded, so you will receive the recording and the slides after the meeting ends. This meeting's a little bit different than most because Kathleen likes interaction. So you'll be allowed to ask questions. I ask you to put them in the chat, and I'll kind of keep my eye on that. And it'll be more interactive than normal. It's not a webinar where you just listen and ask questions at the end. So you'll have the opportunity, and I think we're going into breakouts as well. So you'll have the opportunity to really delve into this topic. Okay, that is my spiel for today. So I'm going to turn this over to Kathleen Donahue, who is a certified SCORE mentor, independent consultant, offering training, coaching, and consulting services, and she specializes in project management. She does team building and business analysis. Kathleen has also taught in several universities, and she has been a SCORE mentor for probably a little over a year now. I might be misspeaking, but I think that's about right. And she's a very active mentor in SCORE Bucks County. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Kathleen. I leave you in excellent hands. Thank you. Kathleen?
Thank you, Linda, and thank you, Charlie, and thank you all for being here today. I'm really excited to be doing this topic. This is a topic that's really near and dear to my heart. This is based on a lecture that I used to do at Villanova. I've also done this as a keynote speech and some other things, though I have modified it because I'm still learning. So I'm always learning new things, reading new stuff, adding more things to my my collection, and you know, it's an ongoing process. So so let's get into it. Get my pointers to the right thing. So I've already been introduced. I am mostly retired. As Linda mentioned, my background is primarily about project management. I didn't really intend to start my own business. I just wasn't really pleased working with all the other people I was working at, and people, there came a point, you know, around the turn of the millennium where I was looking for a job and people were interviewing me and I kept talking them out of hiring me. And I realized that I needed to do something else. But I was really passionate about my subject, which is project management. And so I ended up forming a training and consulting business, and I became a coach. I'm mostly retired now. I still teach one class at Lehigh, and I spend time mentoring people like you, and I see a bunch of my mentees here. Hi, everybody. And you know, maybe some other people who I'll meet at some other time through SCORE. So what we're going to focus on today is the mission statement and the values and vision statements, and how you can use them. Now, so you may choose to develop 3 separate statements. You may choose to develop one of these, but they're really powerful, useful tools, and we're going to actually start working on them right here today. And so we're going to, and then we're also going to talk about, why am I encouraging you to do this? What's the value of taking time out of your extremely busy schedule? You thought you were going to have more free time having your own business? Oh, what a surprise. Not so much, huh? To use this for your, you know, for running your businesses. And these are actually valuable tools. It's not just a great mental exercise, but they serve a purpose, and they have some specific uses. So here's my first question for you, which is for you to take a, you know, what is it that made you want to do this? So please take out a piece of paper and write down your answer to this question, which is, you know, why do you want to run this business? Beyond the need to just make money, what's compelling you to run this business? And what is it going to look like or feel like to be successful? So I'm just going to give you a minute or two, and you can write this down. Okay. So did you find this to be an easy thing to do, or was it hard? And feel free to, turn on your mic and answer, or you can write something in the chat. Let me do it. Let's start this way. So you know where your reaction buttons are, right? So there's a raise your hand button under reactions. Raise your hand if you found this to be easy, like you knew exactly what it was, why you're doing this business.
I have two in the chat that say it was easy, Jonathan and Courtney.
Great. Okay. All right. And maybe Charlie, can you lower the hands for me so that now I can ask, okay, who thought this is challenging? Yeah. I don't know how to put this in words. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, it can be,
Yeah.
a little bit daunting to sort of figure out why am I doing this? What the heck am I doing here? Why am I doing this? Right. So a lot of times there's sort of a protective part of us. And the first answer is, well, I got to make money, or I don't want to work for any more jerks, which was definitely my first reason for why I wanted to start a business. Was I was really not happy with, I discovered that I was a really great boss and not a great subordinate. But you're always a subordinate to somebody. When you work in a big corporation, you're also sort of a subordinate to people when you own a business. But you feel like you have a different relationship with people. So that was my first reaction. But when you start to run a business, when you're trying to figure out how am I going, what is it that I'm going to do, and I'm going to be able to make enough money to make a living and provide something to people that they want to buy or pay for, you really need something that's going to keep that going for you, right? So most of you, I'm sure, have worked for someone else at some point in your life. And there's a real difference between working for someone else and working for yourself. When you're working for someone else, you've got somebody else giving you direction. Here's what I want you to do today, every day. When you work for yourself, you have to figure this out on your own. And you may have a really long to-do list, but it's so long you can't figure out where to start. Anybody have that problem? I've had a few mentees who've told me that this is a thing. Yeah, right? These are tools that are going to help you do this. The purpose of these tools is to help you make better decisions. So I'm asking you to do this for yourself to help you decide how to make, choices. Okay. Now, the model that I use comes from, it's based on some guys named Norton and Kaplan. They're from Harvard. They wrote this book in 1996, which was called The Balanced Scorecard. Some of you may have heard of it. It's been around for a long time. Prior to this, big companies were trying to figure out how to measure success and get everybody on track. And so they came up with, objectives, and they set an objective and everybody would chase that objective. But what was happening was that they would create an objective and everybody else would figure out how to game the objective and subordinate everything to that objective. So they said, if we increase sales by 10%, everybody gets a bonus. So everybody ran out to try and figure out how to increase sales. And they threw everything else under the bus, like profits. And they said, you know what? This is not really working so well. So this whole MBO thing became sort of a joke. What Norton and Kaplan came back and said is, guys, you have to have a balance of these things. And the four categories that they generally talk about are financial objectives, right? So if you're going to have a business here, you need to make enough money to stay in business. Even if your business is very service or nonprofit or, something that's, you feel like, you're trying to help people. If you can't make enough money to make a living, then you can't provide your service. So it's important for you to be able to do that. Nonprofits actually are a little bit different. They're getting their money from a different source, but I'm not going to, that's a different webinar. Maybe you measure success by how satisfied your customers are. That's really important too. Or how much you yourself are getting out of this, and your employees, right? So employees love the learning and growth aspect of the objectives, because they want to continue to contribute and get something out of this, right? So Charlie and I were joking about working with technology people. If you want to reward technology people, you give them a new tool or language to learn, like a new programming language. They just, oh my God, that for them, it's like candy. Or maybe it's quality of your product that's really most important to you. And so the processes that help create that are what help create the integrity, the quality, as well as the efficiency of your business. So this is sort of, what people are talking about. And so, but you notice, like, well, Kathleen, why are you talking about this? I thought we were talking about vision and strategy. But see what's right in the middle of this diagram. And that's the vision and strategy. And so the vision and strategy are what set us up to figure out what are the rest of these objectives that we need to sort out for our business. And I encourage you to have objectives for yourself, to have goals and objectives. Objectives are very specific and measurable. You're going to set particular measurements to them. Not all those measurements are quantifiable. They can be qualifiable, meaning that they can have a quality to them, but as opposed to something you can measure with a number or a yardstick, but they still have something that you can discern a differentiation, so that you can tell good from bad, or whether or what success is. And so I'm encouraging you to do that. But the way you're going to do that first is to start with the mission. So in a later book, Norton and Kaplan explained this a little bit better. And what they said is that this is sort of one feeds the other. And the driving thing of all of this is your mission. Okay. Now, there's some differences. Some companies think that a mission is like, Mission Impossible mission. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, this tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Not that kind of mission, not a one-off project-based, we're going to do this one thing and we're done kind of mission. This is like a life mission. What is your purpose? I like the word mission, if you know what that intimates. But purpose may sound a little bit more specific to you, right? What is your purpose? What is it that's really, what is it that's driving you? Which is what, if you had an easy time with the first exercise, then you're already getting to what that mission is. What is it that really pushes you to do this work? Your mission is based on, but also reflect your values. Values are really important to us because they're the tool that we use to actually make decisions. They are the scale of what do we see as goodness. And from those, we can create a vision. And a vision is what we see the future to be, right? So what is the world going to look like when I'm successful? What's going to change in the world? Not what's my product necessarily, but what's it going to evoke, right? If I do this well, what will it manifest into the world? It enables us to have strategy, because strategy is how we get from our current state to that future state. If you want to get to a future state, you have to know what it's going to be so that you know what to aim at. So that enables you to have your strategy. And so strategy is that broad level thinking of how am I going to get from where I am now to where I'm going? What are my highest priorities? What is my main ways and tools to do that? And then from that, we can build the tactics to do that. We can create objectives and specific tasks, projects that we need to do to reach those objectives. And if you have employees, then they can align with all of this. Okay. So what Norton and Kaplan were trying to do is help organizations explain to their employees how they fit into the big picture, how their work contributes to the organization as a whole. Eli Goldratt, who's the guy who gave us the theory of constraints, talked about how we have a tendency to optimize a subsystem at the expense of the big system. In other words, everybody's so worried about, I just have to be good at my little piece. But while I'm working on my little piece, I may be sabotaging somebody else's piece. Okay? Because my reward, I'm going to get my bonus or my promotion or whatever reward I'm looking for if I only do my little piece. But the organization leadership is trying to figure out, how do I make all the pieces come together? So if I don't see how my piece affects everybody else's piece, then I'm kind of blind and I don't know why I need to do this in a different way. Does this make sense? You might think, wow, Kathleen, this is for, IBM or big companies. This doesn't apply to me, but actually it really does, because this is what's going to help you figure out how do I want to attain what I want to attain? And how do I know when I'm getting in a rabbit hole versus when I'm doing something that's really going to matter, that's really going to help? Okay. Anybody ever spent a great deal of time working on something related to your business, and then you kind of look at it later and you go, okay, that was a really big distraction from the things I really needed to be working on. It felt really important at the time. It felt like, we really had to finish it. But when we finished it, it kind of didn't add a lot of value. So that's what this is for, is to help you kind of keep that on track. So your mission statement is your business's reason for existing. And it should align with your personal mission or personal purpose. So it really has to resonate with you. If you get a great mission statement, it's going to evoke a sensation in you that yeah, this is what I want to do. And a lot of times it's going to get you really excited as well. Okay. And it's also going to enable you to tell your clients and your employees, what is it that really matters to me? And why do you want to, do business with me or do work with me? Because this is what we're doing. Okay. So what the mission statement does is it answers the question, why? Why am I in business? Why am I doing this? So you want your mission statement to be quite universal. Most organizations, their mission statements really don't change. They stay on the same mission forever because it's just what defines who they are. This is us. This is what we do. It has a real emotional resonance to it. It doesn't feel trite. It doesn't feel cute. It feels real. And it just goes, yeah, that's what we're doing. And so it's both inspirational, but it's also grounding. Okay. It is not an aspiration. An aspiration is something that I'm hoping for someday, not what I really think I am today. Okay. And that may be part of your vision. Okay? And again, it answers the question, why? Why do you exist? And why does anybody want to do business with you? So here's a couple of examples, and just kind of take a look at these and tell me, how does this make you, does this make sense to you? Does it really land? Yeah, that's who they are, right? So Virgin Atlantic, to embrace the human spirit and let it fly. And feel free to comment on any of them as we're going through them. Tesla, to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. Elon Musk has a really interesting strategy. It's not just to build cool cars and other things. Everything's actually all integrated. He wants to, create solar power and batteries so that people can generate their own power, store it in their homes individually, power their cars with it overnight, and increase communication so that his satellite strategies, all of this stuff is actually integrated. He has this enormous vision to do all of this, but it's about sustainability. The key word for him is sustainability. I know he's sometimes a little bit nutty. Starbucks, hang on a second. You guys are in front of my slide a little bit. To inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. Any big Starbucks fans here? I love the company. I don't like their coffee, but I love the company. I love the way they run their business. I love the way they interact, the way they want to be part of communities, the way they create belonging in their, with their employees. Yeah, I mean, none of them are perfect. You can find flaws with every company, but you don't have to be perfect. I'm just reading a couple of comments here. So Pamela says, I like Tesla's language because it incorporates words like accelerate, which applies to cars. Right. Yeah, it's kind of clever, right? And Jonathan says, Virgin Atlantic mission statement seems silly to me. It doesn't explain how they're different from other airlines. Yeah, well, it kind of does. If you've ever flown on Virgin, it's similar to Southwest, that they have a very personalized service, and that it's not just about getting on a plane and getting somewhere, like when you get on United or something. It's about having this great experience while you're flying. And I like Starbucks, but it doesn't seem likely like they're very flexible. Try ordering decaf. That's true. Yeah, like I said, none of these people are perfect. Disney, a real leader in the world of vision. Disney was just an amazing person when it came to creating vision. Their mission is creating happiness through magical experiences. And if you've ever been on a Disney property or a Disney store or something like that, this really resonates with the employees. Anybody ever seen a grumpy Disney employee? Unless they were, that was their part. They're part of the cast. Even working in a store or in a park, they call you a cast member, not an employee, not an associate. But they are imbued with what the company is about, and they're excited to be part of it. Don't you want to have people who want to be excited about doing business with you or working with you? Yeah. So Zamora says, I love Starbucks and loves their culture and their core values. Yeah. Ford, to make our cars better, our employees happier, and our planet a better place to be. It's not bad, but it's, yeah. Some of them will resonate with you more than others. But you can see that it's really specific to the three things that they want to really emphasize: their product, their people, and the planet. It's not a bad combination. I love Zappos. This is a great company. Tony Hsieh, who founded it, just died recently. He was very young. He had a terrible, got burned in a fire, and died from the wounds. To provide the best customer service possible and deliver wow through the experience. And right in their logo, powered by service. And if you've ever done business with Zappos, especially if you've ever actually had to call them, the service is pretty amazing. When they started the company, he said, there's one rule for employees: use your best judgment. That's it. So they don't limit how much time or how many people you need to talk to in customer service or how many shoes you need to ship. It's like, use your best judgment, right? Wouldn't you like to work for somebody who that was the way your boss treated you? HarleyDavidson. We fulfill dreams of personal freedom. Anybody feel the wind in their hair? I'm not a motorcycle fan, but I still appreciate you know, this company. Patagonia. We're in business to save our home planet. And if you know anything about Patagonia, you know how much work they actually do, not just providing, you know, great outdoor sportswear stuff, but in, you know, using all of that to help promote environmental causes and care for the planet. Comments about any of these? Are you kind of getting what I'm driving at? And some of these are a little bit, maybe a little bit short. You don't have to get this creative and pithy and cute. You can, you know, you can be a little bit more robust in your personal, your organization's mission statement, if that's what makes sense to you. So this is a little formula that may be helpful for you to help craft your vision state, your mission statement, and then you can pare it down. And it's going to have a little of your values in there if you want them. You don't have to do it that way if you don't want to, but this is just something to give you a start. Why? What is your purpose? Right? So what is it that is really that driving thing that keeps getting you out of bed every morning to keep doing what you move on with? How is your values? In other words, what are your parameters, your boundaries for yourself that you have to live within to feel good about, you know, how you do your things? And then what's your offering? So what is your, you know, your service that you're providing for people? I didn't put American Expresses up, which most people, you know, who grade mission statements, everybody goes, nah, because it kind of just says, well, just to be the best. Part of that's because American Express had a hard time figuring out what they wanted to be. And the funny thing is that they do have a real value, which is to offer really high, you know, elite services to elite people. But maybe they just didn't like saying that out loud, feeling like, you know, somebody would take it wrong. But it is what they do. Jonathan says, a life coach says, lose your why and you lose your way. Yeah. So if you want to know more about why, I encourage you to read, either read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, or watch his TED Talk on this. He gives an amazing explanation and goes a lot, uses Apple as an example about starting with the why. So why is a really difficult question, but it's a very powerful answer. So if I said to you, Lisa, why are you wearing that shirt today? Anybody have a little reaction to that question? Little, ooh, you know, like, that's a little personal. That's a little. Okay. We have a tendency to think people are questioning our motives, not just curiosity, when we hear a why question. But why is a really powerful answer. The book is Start With Why. It's Simon Sinek's book, Those and Wars. So think back to when you were working for somebody else at one point, and your boss gave you a task. Maybe it was write this report, and you said, well, why do you want me to do this? And they said, well, you don't need to know that. Just do it. Anybody ever have an experience something like that? Have this conversation with somebody? How did you feel? It's okay to turn the mic on if you want. Who felt good about that? Said, oh yeah, let's do that. I can't wait to do that report. And where did that end up on your priority list? I would venture to guess it was as low as you safely could push it, right? Now, suppose instead, and maybe this happened to you too, your boss came up to you and said, Charlie, this is really important. I really need this piece of work. And I'm asking you to do it because I know that you've had some experience with this and you have a real aptitude for working with this customer. Now, how do you feel? Feels empowering. Yeah. Feels like you're important, like you matter, right? So why is a powerful answer? Why motivates us? The answer to why motivates us. It helps us see how we fit into the big picture, right? So if I put us, if I put everybody up here on Zoom in the Super Brady Bunch mode and I took a picture, a screenshot of it, of us, and then I put it on the slide, what would you look for first? Smile. Yeah. Actually, you look specifically for yourself, right? You're in this picture, even if it's just your name because you haven't got your camera on, right? You would look for yourself. And this is what we do. We want to know, where do I fit in? Where is my piece of this puzzle? What's my contribution? How am I part of this team? How does my contribution matter? And that's what having a clear vision and mission helps you do. Helps you explain to people, here's how you fit in, and here's how I fit in with you in my business. So this is what we're offering people when we create a mission statement. Okay. Organizations that use these things well, that really live by them, that people know what these things are, they can recite them. It's not just artwork hanging on the wall that nobody actually buys into, but something real. These are organizations that end up being the places where people really want to be involved. They want to work there. They want to do business with them. They want to engage because they feel like they're seen and they matter. And so that's what you're trying to convey. Why does this matter to you? Why does doing this business matter to you? And so why would your customers want to do business with you? Questions, comments, emotional outbursts.
There's one comment. How important is it to have a graphic artist create a logo that speaks the mission statement?
I think at some point you do want to have something that you feel identifies you, but don't kill yourself about that right off the bat. That may emerge for you. You can, the clearer you can be about what your mission is, the easier it's going to be for you to figure out, why you want to do what you want to do, right? So you see my logo up in the top corner for my business. That's actually my house. I live in a schoolhouse and I named my business after the schoolhouse, but I thought it was really fitting because a schoolhouse is a very intimate kind of education. It scares me a little bit. My living room is the original schoolhouse, and there were 40 kids, grades 1 through 8 at one point. The school was a school for 99 years. They didn't have a pump at the time, and so they'd send a couple of kids with a bucket down the street to the general store for a bucket of water. I don't know which scared me more, the fire hazard or the health issue of 40 kids and one bucket of water. Some of the less attractive parts of intimacy. But that it really spoke to me and to what I wanted to do. It took me a long time to find that little drawing because I really wanted it to be a certain way. So it may not be that meaningful to other people, and maybe it doesn't give the subliminal suggestions that it has for me, but it reminds me when I see it of who I am and what I'm doing. Okay. So, like I have a client and her logo is a beautiful script version of her initials. It's really nice. It doesn't have to be something, incredibly clever, but you'll want something that really is reflective of you and speaks to your mission. If it resonates with you, you can make it, it will matter to you. So don't rush into it, but you can create that, when you're ready. There's a lot of other things that you need to do as well to, get your business started. But if you're at that point where you're ready to do your marketing, it may be worthwhile to find somebody to work with or not. I tried working with a few people. I didn't come up with what I wanted. I eventually found what I wanted myself. Okay. So this is my mission. The SET mission is to foster wisdom that helps organizations solve problems, deliver value-added results, and focus on what matters by connecting people, purpose, and ideas. So I rolled everything kind of into one. So this is a lot longer than, Virgin Airlines. And I'm not saying that it's the most virtuous, wonderful mission in the world. When I retired from my business and I started doing score mentoring, I thought, maybe I should write a new mission statement. And I went back and looked at this and realized, no, this is still what I'm doing. Right. So the tagline, or the short version of it, is fostering wisdom, which you see on the bottom of my logo, because that's the nutshell version of what I do. Zamoris, did you have a question? You want to ask me something? I'm not sure if that's your name. That's just the part that's showing up on my little bit of Zoom.
I think it's Janice Little.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Janice.
She had her hand raised.
Okay. Did you want to ask me a question?
Okay. My mission statement is she knows what she wants. So I have a beauty business, and it's a one-stop beauty bar. And I'm having a problem in trying to communicate it to people because I feel that women need to be educated about their decision when it comes to beauty, because I believe that it's a lifestyle. So my mission is to be a problem solver in terms of educating women to make decisions on lifestyle and beauty, because it's a connection. So I just want to kind of like put it out there. My logo says she knows what she wants, and I'm just here to give the directive. So I kind of want to summarize that.
Good. Well, I applaud you for saying it out loud. That's a really good practice, particularly for women, is to, put this out there. And this is also going to be useful for things like networking. So when you meet people, this is, this is quite related to your elevator speech. It may be your elevator speech, right? To say, this is my, this is, when people say, well, what do you do? This is what I do. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead and keep crafting it. Remember, your first idea is not necessarily your best idea. That's just stuff that's coming out of memory. You need to create something, powerful. So massage it, work with it, rewrite it, keep looking at it, keep changing it. None of this came to me like in a flash. This isn't just a, pencil whip it off and you're done kind of thing. Write it, hang it up and look at it, take it out and recraft it, hide it and write something else, see what keeps coming back, is what I recommend for the actual steps. So now I'm going to actually give you a chance before we go into this slide. Let me get my back button back. Is for you to write, a first cut of your own mission. So I'd like you to, again, pull out a piece of paper and take what you wrote in the first part and see if there's anything you want to polish or add. And then I'm going to ask Charlie to put us in breakout rooms. You're going to be in groups of 4 for a minute. And I just want you to share it with your other 3 people. I'm going to give you 8 minutes. So you'll each have 2 minutes. If you're finished early, you can come back into the main room. If you don't have anything of your own yet, then you can simply be an audience for your colleagues here in our workshop, and witness what they're saying, and find out what is their business about, what is it that they're trying to do. Okay, Charlie. All right, I'll put the slides back on in a minute, but for the moment I can see all of you at once, which is really nice. Otherwise, you're kind of squished over next to the slides and I can't see you as much. So how was your exercise? How did it feel to share your mission? Good? A little uncomfortable? A little nervous?
Now I was in a group with 2 gentlemen and they were very passionate about the reasons why they were in business. So if I'm looking for their pictures, John and Uday, if you're there, you may want to speak up. You guys were very eloquent, so unmute yourselves and jump in.
Thanks, Linda. It's good to get into it. I apologize. I've been a little distracted through some of this. With some, some things open over here, but it's mostly. I think I have a problem in that most of what's motivating me feels very selfish. I have a photography business. I just started last year. I specialize mostly in aerial photography. I do other stuff as well, but. So I'm kind of the drone guy. I do a lot of that, and I have the opportunity to do a variety of some creative things. In addition, most of my work is it's not very creative. It's commercial real estate and construction, but I have the opportunity to do some other creative projects as well, and that really motivates me. I love just taking pictures and getting to the place for the first time in my life after a 25-year career doing IT work. I'm now in a place where I drive something, I create something, and I get to see the delight on a customer's face when they love what I've done for them. So that's really exciting. And I was telling Linda and Uday that I get overwhelmed. Kathleen, you were talking about, some of these, that initial thing you were talking about that to-do list. I get overwhelmed to the point of depression and severe anxiety at times, thinking about what the heck do I do next? There's so much to do. I wish I had a business partner that could handle all the business aspects for me and let me just take pictures and do that. But, I have to put that hat on, and that's where it really gets overwhelming for me. So, that's why I'm here. And, just getting started, it's helpful to start to do some of this work of writing down some of these ideas that I get excited about when somebody invites me to talk about it. But do I take the time to actually write it down and help formulate things? I don't know. This is a good start to it. Thanks.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, this is powerful stuff. I used to, I don't know if you know who JLG is. They make aerial lifts. You know, they're bright orange machines that people use to get people up high or equipment. They were building their first 185-foot lift when I first started working with them. They invited me to go up. I'm not a heights person, so I declined on that. But whenever I did a lot of work with them, right after I started working with them, I had been downtown. I worked on Wall Street for a long time, and I really didn't want to go downtown, but I had a visitor from outside the country, and I took him downtown, and we ended up in the World Financial Center looking down at the big hole. You know, this was my home. I worked in One Liberty Plaza. I worked in the World Trade Center. I worked in the Financial Center. It's very, very not. This is a hard weekend. This has been a hard week for me. Even 20 years later, it's still very hard. Down in this pit was a JLG lift, and I took a picture of it. And every time I started a class, I would put this picture up, and I'd say, "Do you guys know where this is?" And most of them figured out, this was while they were still cleaning up the mess, what the picture was. I said, this is what you do. This is your contribution. When you forget why you're doing what you're doing, you're just trying to solve a problem for, how to make this device work a little bit better. Your device is then going to service people who are going to, build the Freedom Towers and do all of these things. So everything we do may feel like, I'm in my own little world, but you are contributing to something a lot bigger. So my little contribution was to help these people do projects better so that they could build these products better, so that they could help other people do other things better. Right? My husband made IV pumps. And every now and again, he'd have to go into a hospital and he'd visit the ICU ward. And then he'd visit the neonates ward. And those are the two biggest problems for for pumps, when they putting an IV in your arm. And with little tiny babies, these 2-pound, premature babies that would have died when I was born because we didn't have the technology. Today, we have ways of keeping them alive. And they'd be, they look terrible. They'd have all these things hanging out of them. And one of the biggest problems with IV pumps is trying to get rid of these little tiny champagne bubbles, because they could cause an embolism in a tiny baby like that. You and I could absorb them easily, and they can't. And so they were constantly, this is an industry-wide problem. And he would go back to work, and the FDA would be a little less annoying, and the other people he was working with were a little less annoying, because he knew he was making a contribution to something that was going to really matter. Maybe save a baby's life. I get tingles just thinking about things like this, right? Your work is doing that too. And that's what you want to convey in your mission and in your vision, is where do you fit into that bigger picture? And then invite everybody to come in with you. All right, let me get the screens back up so we can continue on, unless somebody else has some more comments or questions. Thank you for sharing, John, by the way. That was really great. All right. So values is the next piece. So quick, what were Superman's values? They remember? My husband saying it in the background. Truth, justice in the American way. You remember this, right? These are the things that really resonate with you. The things that are the standard from which you're going to make your decisions, right? So when you're, and you say, well, should I do this or should I do that? Which one aligns with me? The closer you are to aligning with your values, the more resonant you're going to feel, the less cognitive dissonance you're going to experience. So cognitive dissonance is when we do something that violates our image of ourselves and then usually causes us to be very defensive. Janice, did you have a question or a comment? I see your hand is up. Okay, maybe it just got left up. So what do these values do for your business? They create the scale for you for how you're going to make decisions. And when I say scale, I mean, it's like a weight. So one of the things they're discovering about the brain is that they think that the place where we actually make decisions is in the limbic system, which is the emotional part of our brain. It's a mammalian part of the brain. It's in the center of your brain. The outer gray wiggly stuff is the cerebral cortex that wraps around it. It's located sort of right over the roof of your mouth. And so all of this other stuff is where we are, doing our rational processing and storing information. And that's like putting all the weights on the scale, but the scale itself seems to reside in the emotional center. And they know that because there've been people where they've had to, say, do some surgery or something because they had a lesion in that part of the brain, and they become incapable of making even simple choices. The brain is pretty complex, so it's probably not quite that simplified, but that's what brain scientists seem to know about it now. So the more you understand sort of what works for you, the easier it is going to be to understand how is it that you make your decisions. So these values reflect what is most important to you. What are the things that you really live by? And if you are creating an organization where you're going to have employees, it's what creates your culture. In other words, this is the way we're operating together. Okay. And while many of you may not have them yet, you will someday. Okay. So I gave you, if you signed up for the class before yesterday, I mailed you the link to a set of cards, value cards. They're very personal values. They may not be necessarily the terms that you want to use in your business. For example, I said in the email, truth is one of my driving values, but it's not on this list. Honesty is on this list, which is similar, but to me, there's a little bit of a different nuance. So you can add your own, but sometimes it's easier to start with something to work with. So if you don't already have these cards, you can copy this URL down. It's a few pages, maybe 7 or 8 pages. Cut them up, and so you'll have little cards. There's a little description of each one. You can change them. There's nothing magic about this. They're just a starting place. There's some blank cards at the back. You can add more. You can add as many more as you want. And then you can do a sorting exercise where you say, okay, so these are the ones that are, I feel are really important to me. And these are the ones that are not so much or not at all. And then take the ones that are most important to you and resort them again. So if you had to narrow yourself down, what would be the ones that you really want to hang on to? And then get yourself down to, maybe 4 or 5 cards that really say, these are the things that are the most important for me and my company. And again, change the descriptions, change the actual words if you want to, but it's just a way of helping you to identify what are these driving values for you. So you don't just have to conjure them up out of the air and then later on you go, oh, I forgot something else that you think is really important. I do this exercise with some of my students in various classes. Most people find it to be an interesting form of self-reflection to really look at this. While there's a constant to some of them, you may find that there are some things that change over time, that some things become more important, like maybe family values become more important when you have kids or those kinds of things. So, and then you can figure out which of these are the ones that you really want to reflect in your business. Did anybody play with any of these? Anybody get a chance to print them out and play with them? And everybody's busy, so you probably didn't have time. But if you did, I just wondered if you had any experience with them. Anne said yes. Okay. Anybody else? Well, I invite you to do this. And if you don't want to do it right now, tuck it away. It may be something that urges, calls out to you at another time. This is a list of what are considered to be the most common values for organizations. It was from an article that I found. There are some places where people have, hang on a second, I just want to get rid of that thing that's blocking up my screen. That have some great articles about, what are Fortune 500 companies' mission statements and vision statements, which is where I got some of the ones that we have here, and other articles about values as well. So these are the ones that you're going to see the most commonly used for big corporations. They're great as long as they're real. You're not just picking the ones that you think would sound nice. There was one article where one guy was talking about this, and he said, this was our value, and the guy working with him said, yeah, tell me more about it. He goes, yeah, this is the one we need more of. We don't have it. Like, well, then it's not your value yet. It may be something you think is an aspiration, but if you want to create this as a value, then you have to say, how do I create this? Not just tell people this is it, go do it. So it's the same for you. Which of these things is the thing that you really want, and how are you creating this for yourself, and how are you conveying this to your clientele? Any questions or comments about this? So the third piece that I'm going to talk about today is the vision statement. And the vision statement is what you envision for yourself. Visions can change occasionally, but they don't change radically. Then, like your objectives and your projects can change pretty regularly, because you're going to do them, you're going to accomplish them, you're going to move on to the next thing. But what a vision does is it sets up that, this is what I'm looking to attain. This is where my strategy is aiming. Okay. So there's this idea that, when I say I'm having a vision, or I'm envisioning something, that I'm using my imagination to look into the future. Okay. So that's the kind of vision that we're talking about. Jonathan says, when companies state values, it's a bit risky, as employees will look hard to see if the company is really walking the walk. Exactly true. And there are companies that do this, but they can be few and far between. And when they do, it's a really amazing experience. I had a client once, and the CEO, he was really good at that, sort of calling people out, and saying, this is what what's great about this person and what I rely on for him, and so on. And I was always kind of amazed, because I'd go in to do some consulting with them, and I'd go into a meeting, and people would be sitting at the table working on a problem, and people would say to each other, how can I help you? Like, from other departments. Not something I heard very often in the corporate world, But this was because they really lived their values. They knew what those values were, and they didn't just, mouth them. They really held them up as something that was useful for them, and used them. So the application of this is to create the target. So this creates the bullseye for what you are aiming at. And if you want to get someplace, you have to have a direction. You have to have a target in front of you. And so what you're going to be able to do then is, every time you have a decision to make, right? Should I buy this new piece of equipment, or shouldn't I? Should I add this product line in, or shouldn't I? Should I spend my time working on my Instagram accounts, or should I spend my time working on my, balancing my finances? Each of those decisions, then you're going to say, which of these things gets me closer to my target? And it will start to become more relevant, more revealing of which thing you want to do first. So when you're overwhelmed with all of these things that I have to do this and I have to do that, and people are telling me I should do this and other people are telling me I should do that. If you know what your target is, and you can say, which of these things is getting me closer to what I need to do? And which of the things are nice and useful, but they're just not the highest priority. Remember, our tendency under stress is to go with what's comfortable and easy and fun. And that makes us feel like we're good at stuff. So sometimes doing the one that is more challenging, that's out of our comfort zone, is going to be the one that's more useful. But the way that you're going to tell whether this is just torturing yourself or if it's actually adding value is by comparing it to that vision. So it creates the end state. It also, again, creates more of this excitement because it shows us what is that picture that everybody's looking for. Where do I fit in? Where am I in this picture? Okay. It's also going to help you figure out what those metrics are. So once you have a clear vision, then you can start to, from that, you can extrapolate what are your primary objectives. Okay, so in order to attain this vision, what are the things that I have to do, and how will I know that I'm getting there and I'm doing them effectively or enough or whatever measure is appropriate for that? So we have a vision, we can break it down into objectives, we can take those and we can apply criteria to them. So, and you just, pretend you're, I don't know, whoever you find to be the person who asks you annoying pointed questions. Say, well, how do you know you did that? How do you know you got there? And then figure out what are those measures that you want to apply to that, to those objectives. And again, it's going to help you remove confusion and distractions. Right? You may see something and you're kind of drifting off into that, Instagram world, and you say, you know what? This is not the thing I need to focus on right now because it's not going to get me closer to my objective today. Right? I love social media, but I saw the title of a book recently that said, likes don't pay bills. And I use that as a reminder to say, yes, that's important, but it's not going to magically make your business work all by itself. You're going to have to do all these other things too. And it can suck up a lot of time. What am I getting out of this? Is this just, something that's entertaining for other people, or is this actually going to be drawing in customers for me? Will this improve my marketing, etc.? And these are marketing tools because when you put these out here, they create a resonance, right? They invite people into your community and say, yes, this is what we're working on together. When people have a common objective, a common goal, that's how teams form, right? Because I can't, you're not my competitor now, because if you fail, I fail, because we have the same objective. Think about, really great teams like, the Navy SEALs, or people like that they have a common objective. They all know their parts, each one has a specific role and they're all pointed in the same direction. How did they figure out what that direction is? By having an absolute agreed upon vision of where they're going. They all know what that is. And if you don't state this, especially if you're working in a team, everybody will make up their own and they'll be divergent. And so you'll actually be pulling everybody in different directions instead of pulling together. I used to tell my teams, it's like, the Budweiser Clydesdales. Imagine if they all had their own separate harnesses and you said, giddy up, and each horse went whichever way they wanted. right? Now we would have a disaster, overturned wagon, beer spilled in the street. My grandmother would have something mean to say about that. So again, this is about motivation. The mission, the vision, these create the motivation, and they're going to create motivation for you, because there's going to be days when the whole world is caving in on your shoulders. You feel overwhelmed. Why am I doing this? This is, rah, 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 rah. And then you remind yourself, this is what I'm doing. This is my contribution. And sometimes I have to do the Scuddy stuff to get there. This is one of the things we talked about in my little breakout room. So again, just to give you an example, this is my personal vision statement for my business: to be an authentic, valued guide to my customers in their quest to deliver solutions and reach their full potential. I value the unique abilities and gifts of each person that I work with and strive to help them progress on their path to growth, and experience fully and manifest their contributions to the world. It's a bit long. You can craft yours to be more pithy if you like, but make sure it's something that keeps speaking to you. It reminds you of why you're doing what you're doing and keeps you focused in that direction. So the how do I do this? And the answer is, with a big piece of paper and colored markers and whatever else you want to create something visual. It's a vision, make it visual. And then you can find words to go around it. So if you have, you can do a dream board if you like, you can cut out pictures, you can craft the words. Remember that if they don't create an emotional spark, it's not doing its job. I don't know if you know who Frank Luntz is. He's a Republican spin doctor. He writes a lot of the language that people have been using. He's been doing this for 20, 30 years, and he wrote a book probably 15 years ago, Words That Work. He's the guy who finds those emotionally triggering words that really bring that pithiness to political messages. It's not just politics. Good branding does this. Good advertising does this. See what watch television, even turn the sound off with the commercials, and notice what kind of emotions are created from just the visualizations, or listen to just the words and just check in with what kind of emotions are what is this evoking for you. That's what we're looking for. This is not a cut and dried academic stale looking statement. This has to have some impact. The word is emotion. It's not a coincidence. The thing that gets us moving are those feelings, right? Yeah, otherwise we'd just all be sitting there like watching cars go by on the highway. Oh, there goes another one. There goes another one. There goes another one. Whereas a great vision makes people jump up and say, hey, I got to be a part of this. I mentioned Disney earlier. Disney actually has a method that they use for this. They call it the Dream, Believe, Dare, Do model. So they come up with, they've got their set of beliefs, and then they create their vision, which they call the dream. Okay. And then they create the sort of the objectives, or what are the things that we're going to do, the dare, and then they identify what the barriers are to that, and they identify how to overcome them. And that's their action plan of how do I clear the way. you need to feel like you're safe when you're doing this. So if you're doing this with a group of other people, you want to do it with people that, that have some trust with each other, and it needs to be very in a sort of positive frame of mind. So you got to sort of get yourself to not use the negative sides of things. It's really easy to know what we don't want. It's a lot harder to dig out the opposite of and to say what we actually do want. And it's very playful. So there should be some fun and laughing while you're doing this if you're going to try and do this with someone else. Okay. So I like Post-it notes. I like visual tools. There's lots of different ways. I have a list of tools that I used to offer to my my students, and how they, what different tools use for you. I'm not going to get deeply into all of this, but I do encourage you to use something graphic, something, and actually use paper, because it's easy to make changes. I like Post-it notes because then I can move them around, or pictures, that I can tack up on my board, and get something moving. And then I'm going to try and capture the words from that to sort of say, here's what I'm creating as my vision. Okay. But the term is visual, right? So something we can actually look at. So then we're going to work on those words, find those vivid, clear, but also impactful words to create the statement. And then vet it, test it out with other people, see how it lands, see what the reaction is, and continue to refine it. Don't feel discouraged if it doesn't feel right exactly the first time. If you get something that works for you, you're going to keep it for a long time. So, you don't want just something that, was the first thing that you grabbed off the shelf. And then this becomes your Rosetta Stone to help you make all those decisions, right? So keep it visible to yourself. Hang it up over your desk. Put it on your website. Find a way to encapsulate it, like if you have a tagline in your put on your email or something like that, your email signature, so that you keep remembering it and you keep letting it resonate and drive you. So benefit statements are also really great for marketing. And so once I have this clear set of objectives and the criteria, then what I'm extracting from that is benefits. And so these become powerful words that you can now use in your marketing materials, right? So what are the benefits for your customers or for your team or for the world at large? What are those things that are going to make you appealing and sellable to your clients? All right, that's what I got for you. In the slides, there'll actually be a couple of references as well, so you can take a look at those. So let me just get my doohickey back. Oops. There we go. Now I can see you all again. So, questions, comments, emotional outbursts.
There were a few hands raised. I think Janice had her hand raised. I don't know if that was from before or if she got her question answered. Janice, can you unmute?
Hi, I'm a question actor, so
That's
pardon me.
I love questions.
Yes, I love them. So I'm a why girl. I'm the why, what, how. So I just want to know, I can't say, and I don't want to sound like cocky saying it, but I'm very real. I do appreciate the gentleman that was talking before. He was very passionate. I just wanted to say, I really appreciate, his anxiety and his eagerness and his passion. And it's okay because you want to be excited about what you're doing. I'm excited every day. My thing is communicating that to my employees and having them to be as excited as I am. My customers are very excited. and I like an experience. I love diversity. I like to learn new things all day long. And I want to kind of communicate that to my employees and the people that I hire. That's one of my biggest obstacles.
Yeah.
Anyone have any? Please give me some feedback.
Yeah. So talk a lot about this stuff. I have a favorite restaurant up at my lake house, and we went up there and had dinner the other night, and there was a waitress who had been working at another local restaurant, and that restaurant had to close because the guy who owned it got sick, and so she came to work there, and she said, "This place is amazing." She said, and the customers keep saying, "I want to come back because the staff are so happy that and the food is great, that I just want to be in this restaurant." And she kept talking about how the owners were, constantly helping, praising, telling people what they value, but also really, specific about what they wanted done, right? So she said, Scott comes in and he says, can we get this floor cleaned again in the kitchen? And, and then somebody jumps up and starts washing the floor. I mean, not anybody's favorite task, washing a restaurant floor, but they knew what they were striving for, that this was about this well-run, great restaurant experience, and the employees had a great experience working there, and the customers had a great experience being there, and they had a great product. So those are some of those things that, really help. And so you are walking the talk of your mission and vision, and you keep discussing it with them and drawing them in and asking them, how are you contributing to this? Then that can be a powerful use of these tools.
If I could jump in, I spent many, many years in customer service trying to make the world happy. And we know we can't do that. But there's a great book called The Customer Comes Second. And the premise is, if you treat your employees right, your customers will be very happy. And the example that you just spoke of demonstrates that. So it's, you have to get the employees on board and get them to drink the Kool-Aid, if you will, and treat them right. So they in turn are happy, and your customers will benefit from that.
Are you talking about Vineet Nayar's book?
I don't remember the author. It's been many years, but I'll dig it out and
Employees First, Customers Second.
This was called The Customer Comes Second, I believe.
Well, this book is
same idea, right?
His name was Vineet Nayar, and his book is called Employees First, Customers Second, and it was one of the most powerful books I ever read in my life.
Yep.
So, I have to get that book. I hope they have it in audio, because I love lectures and I love audio.
In fact, I think I might have listened to it. I do a lot of audiobooks too. In fact, if it's a really great book, I have both. I listen to it and then I go and buy the book and start tagging up. So I think that's one of the ones that I have in both versions. Any other questions or comments? All right, I've overrun my time. I apologize. But I encourage you, if you don't already have a SCORE mentor, get one and work with your SCORE mentor on this. If you've got it down, then just keep going. And if you just have some questions, you have my email address, then feel free to email me or Linda or any of us SCORE mentors. We are happy to help. There's no limit on the service, time or number of times you can meet with us or any of those kinds of things. We just want to see small businesses succeed, because that's what we do.
I just looked up the book, The Customer Comes Second by Hal Rosenbluth.
Oh, okay.
So the gentleman who was the CEO of Rosenbluth Travel.
Oh,
and it's widely available. It looks like it's on Amazon, so I'm sure you can find it. I'll put it in the chat also before you leave.
Thank you so much. Listen, I never have it down pat. I've been doing business for 30 years and I never have it down pat.
Nobody
I'm always
does.
here to learn. I approach life as a child. So I need a mentor, and I need a mentor that's real. I don't like cookie cutter. I just want to hear the real deal, and I just want to grow.
All right. Well, there's almost 12,000 of us across the country, and you can pick anyone you like. So please do sign up. Good. Anybody else? All right. Do you have any other
All right.
questions, Janice?
I'm signing up now.
Okay, go to our website, buckscounty.score.org, and click on the button that says, I want a mentor, and it will be there for you. You'll get assigned and everything will start working from there. So I thank all of you. Kathleen, that was wonderful as usual. I hope you all got a lot out of this. You will get the recording. You will get the slides. We're always available. There's a wealth of information on our website about all topics related to small business. So I encourage you to check it out. And I hope you join us for a future event. And there's one coming up next Tuesday. So thanks again and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Good luck with your dream.